Steve. Here bring you guys an updated profile for Virtual World. This is the deck I was gonna take to the Lightning Overdrive box. What was it? Yeah, box tournament. And I ended up getting there late because I was given the wrong information. But this is the deck I was gonna take, so that's why I didn't want to do a profile on it for a minute until like after I took it to like a big event, so I could try to get as much people off guard as possible, catch as much people off guard as possible, so they won't know exactly what I'm playing or what I'm playing in my deck. So let's go over to the profile. Start off with the main starter, Lulu. This is your searcher. This is the one if you have in hand, I probably wouldn't use her first. I'll probably use her second, because the fact that people tend to ask the first virtual world monster in your hand, you don't want them to ask your searcher. So it's better for them to ask your Gigi or your Kyran or something completely different. You could even use Roshi, because it's not like you can't get another level 3 monster on field or search it off of Lulu. So you gotta know how to use the deck. The deck is based off skill, and it's not them type of decks that you could just throw together and take it to a tournament top, because the deck is strong, but it's only strong in its recurrence of its resources. So yeah, this is the best card. Search, you only search twice with her and with the spell. So Dro don't necessarily hurt you if you only when you have a bad hand. So I'm gonna tell you why I picked the cards I picked. This is Roshi. This is your other tuner. He summons one from the grave when you use his effect, but he had to already be engraved. You can't just send one off his effect and summon it. So keep that in mind. Also, he has 24 defense. So if you want to keep a virtual world on the field, he's the best one to keep because his booty is so big. He got 24 defense with 0 attack. Really good card. Help you go make Ultimate Zoken. And this other card that you can easily make Ultimate Zoken with, since this also a level 6, but it's a non-tuner. And they're different types and attributes. So this one is the Foolish Burial of the deck. That Roshi's the Monster Reborn, Lulu's the Searcher. This is the Foolish Burial, because this could send to 2 cards. So send one of the different type of the targets, and then you send the third type. So if you target a trap, you send Spell Monster. If you target a spell, you send Monster Trap, in that order. So this card is really good. It helps set you up. So it's really good to open up at least one Karen with a Lulu, because you could use Karen first, and there's really no hand traps that really hurts Karen like Dro. So, like say instead of you using Lulu first, you send the spell, they draw you. Now you can't use the spell, but you can send Lily, use the spell, and then if you could choose to use the spell if you want to, or you could choose to just use Lily. So it's better to use your Lily first before your Lulu, or any other monster before Lulu, because this is the one you want to get off, the Searcher. You need to search. It's all about having cards in hand with Virtual World, because to activate your spell, you have to discard a card, and to activate the Comment Trap, that Monster Reborns, you have to discard as well. So it's all about having cards in hand. That's why we play Pot of Desires over Pot of Prosperity, because Pot of Prosperity is just a 1 card that replaces itself. Pot of Desires give you that extra card so you can discard if you need a combo. This is to me, it's the second or the third best GG, because this one says use his effect, summon him, and he could add you your Lulu back to your hand or your Roshi back to your hand during the end phase after you combo. So you could have always a card in hand, or at least 2 cards in hand. So on your next turn, you should possibly have about 2-3 cards in hand, so you can play again. If you use Gigi. If you don't see Gigi, that's when we have a harder time comboing and having recurring plays, because Gigi literally is one of the main cards to help you recur your main monster, your Searcher. And then you play 2 Yang Yangs. You don't play 3 of this card, because you open up 2 of it, you can't do nothing with it. You can only normal summon 1, and the other one probably gonna be discard Father. And if these the only 2 virtual monsters you open up, then you technically lose. So you only play 2 of it, because you don't need to open this card. You want to send it from deck, or you want to banish it if you banish all your cards off Pot of Desires, or one of your good cards off Pot of Desires. So that make Pot of Desires for 8 or 9. 2/2. I would cut it, but then because I was really debating on cutting this card, but this card is actually pretty good. So if you say you open extra virtual monsters, you open this card, This is a monster that's a level 6 that easily make Zoken for you. You can make Zoken with 2 summons with using this card. And also on top of that, since it's a monster, you can send a spell to give yourself another searcher for Lulu, which also can search you a spell so your Zoken could go off. So this card is pretty good. Also, if you have dead virtual in your hand, you can summon back as a tuner. So you can make a level 12 synchro monster if you use like say you can't go for game, but you can summon Charge Warrior, bring this back out and use Charge Warrior with either Zoken or another level 12, or you can boost Shin Shin to 12 and you can hard make Zeus. So it's a pretty good card. It just doesn't do anything by itself. For hand traps now, we're gonna go into hand traps. That's it for the virtual names as far as monsters. But the hand traps, I played triple Ash, because Ash is, to me, the best card that helps stop you from getting Lancia, Artifact Scythed. I said Lancia. Artifact Scythed, and with the Sanctum. Also stops Dragoon, Red Eyes Fusion. It just stops so many generic cards that could literally break your board or put on a lot of pressure on your board with the potential to break your board and possibly OTK you. Ash stops all that. So it's a pretty good card. Generic. It hits almost anything in any deck. So it's never really dead card. The soon underdog coming up to be the MVP is Ghost Bell. This card kills Shadows and the Shadow Fusion because they do so much from the grave. This card says any graveyard centric deck, stop it. Also, this can stop Skeleton, which is the Orchid's main play. Just in case Orchid start coming back with their scraps, this is like their main play. You can hit that. Also, this can stop Ovi, but that's if they don't have missing hand. So Ash can stop miscellaneous. So you good on that. But Ghost Bell is pretty good against a lot of cards. He's good against Golden Lord, so they can't get that extra 3,500 attack monster on the field. Then I played Droll Lockbird because this is good pretty much against most of the decks now. Most of the decks shoot through them resources, like do so much searching and drawing. So you want to stop all of that. If you stop all of them from, stop all your opponents from reaching their resources, and you win the game. Because Droll just says stop the searching, stop looking for cards, and let me play. So the deck is pretty good going second. I had originally in my list I was not playing Droll. I was playing Droll at first, but it was not around a good time to play Droll because it was not a lot of decks that could be hurt by Droll, and Drytron had fell off. So Droll is pretty decent. It's even kind of decent against Virtual if they open up a bad hand. So Droll is pretty decent against a lot of decks. But a lot of decks have a lot of outs for this card. So that's why I play other hand traps. Like Call by Grave, Bell stops Call by Grave, Bell stops Gamma, Ash stop Gamma. So you have a lot of cards that you play as far as hand traps that can help your hand traps go through. So I think it's pretty good. The only thing it can't really stop is like Lancia, but you don't really banish too much. Like if you open up the right hand, you don't need to banish no cards. The only to the banishing the cards is for your Chuchi to pop. That just means if they Lancia, you just not gonna get a Chuchi off. It's better to just say your Chuchi so they don't banish it or pop it. And that means you have to end up sending a Yang Yang. That's giving you more cards you have to send instead of just keeping it in hand and just use it for the turn where you can actually resolve your Chuchi. For the last of the hand traps, I play 2 Phantasme because you need resources. And Phantasme gives you a body on field that can help hurry out like Seal or something like that that's going to bounce your virtual or targets back to your hand. So this card is good. So it can out those cards, also draw cards, and it also allows you to discard cards if he's targeted by a card effect. Because you could discard your spell, and now you got a free way to get your spell engraved and search. So Phantasme is pretty good in this deck. And you do not link summon at all. So if you play in a mirror match, you definitely side these out. So I play a decent amount of hand traps. I was only playing 6 hand traps, but I upped my hand trap lineup. Added 5 more hand traps to it because I felt like the hand traps with Virtual World is stronger than trying to build a board, because building board presence now is not the best thing to do no more because people have traps, a lot of traps that can outboards or they have a lot of spells that can out boards, but they ain't got that many cards that can out cards from your hand. And hand traps are pretty good for Virtual World because it gives you interaction with your hand on top of the board that you made. So I try not to discard hand traps unless I have to discard hand traps. So I keep Ash, Bill, or Dro in hand, and then especially if you got Gigi, you can add your Lulu back to hand. Now you got a board that they had to get rid of, one or two hand traps in the hand they get rid of, and they gotta stop you on your following turn with Lulu, which a lot of decks cannot do that. So I feel like hand traps was better. I took out triple tax and droplets. Droplets, I had to put it to the side. But yeah, the hand trap should be enough. For the spells, I played 3 of the Quinloons. This is like one of the first spells I played at 3 because you need to see this card. This card helps you with any virtual monster start comboing. So 3, don't cut this card. This is your Dark Ruler essentially, or your Impermanence, because it's easy to get a virtual target engraved since all your cards stand. So this card, opening this card or searching this card to negate one of your opponent cards, it's really good. Why would you cut this card? I don't know. And then when it go to grave, it's a searcher. So this card is almost on par with Crescendo. Crescendo is a counter trap that negates and searches Orcus Enter on your opponent's turn or your next turn. So this card searches and negates, but it's just not a counter trap. It's a spell, which is even better. 2 Pot of Desires. I don't play 3 because every time I played 3, I was either drawing a Pot of Desires or I was not banishing any of my other Pot of Desires. I was just banishing good cards or cards I needed. So I felt like I don't need to see Pot of Desires. I'd rather see more virtual names and hand traps in hand. And the Pot of Desires is just for reinsurance, you know, just in case you need to banish to get 2 more extra cards in hand. But I also have Phantasma to do the same thing. So that's why I don't, and I main Droll. So Phantasma is pretty good, but I gotta make sure they don't conflict with each other. So Pot of Desires is not good at 3, I don't think, in this deck. I'll play it at 2. Because I kept drawing it, especially in my tournaments. I don't like it. So I'd rather just have 2 in there. I don't think it hurts the deck to play 1 less Pot of Desires. 2 is good enough to me. And for that 3rd Pot of Desires, I put back in a Mercy Teleport because this could be either a tuner or a non-tuner, and also help you get Yang Yang from your deck to grave so you won't have to send it, which is pretty good. Your other one of Call by Grade, so they can stop your Virtual, or you can stop the Lancia. So I was gonna put Gamma back in here, but Gamma, it's like situational. So if you have a good hand, you don't really need, you could play under Lancia. So that's why I was like, I could do without Gamma. And it takes 4 cards, and I'm not trying to make room for 4 cards by cutting any of my consistency cards, and Gamma's dead after the first time you use it. So it's kind of like essentially the worst hand trap you can play. But Virtual can get the driver back, but it requires you to do stuff. So it's not like you could Gamma your opponent 2 or 3 times in one turn, unless they keep ashing or belling it, which is good, but at the same instance, it's not. You rather just have Droll or something that's gonna just completely stop your opponent's turn. So yeah, Fool's Burial Goods, play that 1. It just help you, just in case you open up a mediocre hand, it can make the hand better. And it can also bait out hand traps too. So Ash, Lancia, if they know you playing Virtual and they see you activate this card, they probably gonna Lancia, so you won't get that search off of them. For traps, 2 Chuchi. Think about playing it at 3. I was thinking about playing it at 3, but there's no reason to play it at 3. If it get banished any fast, you can always get back with Yang Yang and put it in the deck. Use Lulu to search the spell and put it back to the field. So it's not hard to get it back. You just have to know how to get it back. And just don't be using it when you don't have. Don't use Chuchi if you don't have the materials to shuffle back and pop, because the only thing you're doing is getting them another card out. And then you're going to wish you had this target for your card on the next turn, or at least the following turn. Zhanwu. Even though if they out, I just say don't use it if you know you already have one engraved, or if you already have it banished. But if you have one in the deck, you can use it by all means, because you know you have another one. But if you got rid of one of them, make sure you try not to use the other one. keep the other one in the deck. Or like the first card I add back off Yang Yang's most likely Chuchi. So I can keep modifying my levels and stuff. I can make the plays I want to make. And I can pop cards without having to use monster effects. For the last trap, Zone Wu is kind of like self-explanatory. You got to discard cards for it. Don't really use it. It's good to just send for a backup play. If your opponent hand trapped you really good and you almost got the ideal board, you could just use this to disc your last hand trap or whatnot to continue your plays. It's pretty good. And Imperial Order, because you don't really use too much of your spell effects. The only ones you really use is your Quelloon. You really barely ever use your Queen Loan. But your Queen Loan, you use those, your Pot of Desires. And the other spells really don't matter because they at 1. So, this is a way to out Dark Ruler. And Forbidden Droplets to stop your opponent from breaking your board. Yeah. To the extra. My extra deck is a little different. I had, like I say, conflicting thoughts when I was playing Virtual World. So I ended up putting in Break Sword. Because it is pretty good. Help out cards. And also, if you got Zeus on field, to help give you materials. Well, not necessarily. But you can pop your opponent cards. Because Zeus say you have to be popped by your opponent cards. So, yeah, pretty good card. Beyond help OTK. And I have OTK with this card because my opponent D-buried me and called Synchros, but it left my XZs open. My XZs is game ender sometimes. Like Beyond, Constella, Pallades. I said Pallades. Palumi? I don't know. M7. Fan. I used this in my last game. It helped me win because it helped me out the Hero Fusion, the dude that nukes the board, and it helped me out at his Hero Monster Engraved, the level 6, that banished itself to summon another copy from the deck. So I outed both of those cards, so he wouldn't have a monster to attack me, and he won't have any monster to freely special summon without his normal summon. So I didn't need him making 2 monsters, so I said I'm just make Fan and banish those cards. It made it hard for him to even play. I actually won that game, but I didn't win that round because I didn't open up pretty good that time. I actually opened up pretty bad on the following turn because I kept either opening up 1 Virtual World with no way to make combo, like 1 Virtual World name. And that's back when I was playing the triple attacks in here. I had cut the triple attack. I kept opening up triple attacks, and my opponent was lancing me in the standby phase. So I couldn't even use triple attacks. So that's why I took triple attacks out. The last XZ is Zeus. So you play 5 XZs. Break Sword, Beyond, M7, Fan, and Zeus. You can hard make Zeus turn 1 in this extra deck, with this extra deck. So that's why I kind of like this build. It's more like a utility for real. And I don't have to worry about trying to have to make Kaliga with my Azoka. I could just make a Zeus. Virtual World Juji. It's 1 of your level 6s. Charge Warrior is 1 of your level 6s. And the Coral Dragon is your last level 6. And the reason why I play these is because you can modify this guy's level because he's a Virtual World. You can use it with the trap. Also, he could send 1 card. He targets, but he could send 1 card. And he could banish cards from grave. So it can help fuel your Chuchi. And on top of that, you can modify his level to make whatever you want to make. Which gonna go into what my other rank 9, my level 9 synchro monsters are. So you keep these in mind. They both draw cards. One's a tuner, one's a non-tuner. This is a non-tuner. So it helps. It's just like a toolbox. This also pop cards. This helps OTK because it attack all monsters. And this could send a free card and it could boost attack with your spells. So it's pretty good. And for the level 8 synchro, you just play Crystal Wing. For the Zoken, self-explanatory. Crystal Wings is hard to get over. To me, the least likely to be cut is Vermilion, because this card is recurrence and it's like an interruption. Because you could like pop a card, face a card in opponent field, it's like OTK. And the other level 9 synchros I was telling you about is the crystal ones, because you can make them pretty easy in this deck, because Yan Yan comes back as a tuner, and you already have a tuner most likely, so you could easily make the Quandarax, because it takes 2 tuners and a non-tuner monster. Easy. This is the one that's more harder to make, but this is so much better against back row, because it banishes the spell and traps from graveyard and field. But you just requires a tuner synchro and a non-tuner synchro monster, which if you summon, you got enough material to summon 2, you can summon these 2. This is a tuner, this is a non-tuner. Drop his level down to 3, make this guy. So, and then you get to draw a card and banish all spell trap cards. So it's really good. I like it. I feel like this is probably gonna end up becoming like a staple, because it help you OTK going second. It just outs monsters and spell and traps, and you can't literally you can't get better cards like that. Calamities wasn't even out in spell and traps. And last one is Shan Shan, clearly. Forgot about that one. And your level 12s, you play Zokin, and you play this guy. You can use these to make hard make Zeus. You can use this guy to get good damage in, then make Zeus afterwards. So it's really good. And I got this from my boy Sharky. He a judge at Chicago. You know, most people that play in Chicago probably know him already, but he's the one who got me up on this. Because I do play Zoka, and I was playing this card, but I didn't see a good reason to keep playing it. But now I know that you can make Zeus with this, because I forgot this was 12. You could just make Zeus on main phase 2, and that's already hard enough for people to out by itself. Side deck, it's a little different. I put 3 Nibiru's in. I just wanted a hand trap just to stop my opponent from OTKing me, just in case they try to go all out. I could just nib them. And then I keep playing to keep myself in the game. I played the Banshee with the Zombie World, because it's good against Dragonlings and other decks that require types. Like the Trapigade, this literally shuts down an engine. So I feel like if I'm gonna discard something for virtual cards, I want to discard something that's gonna give me some type of interaction with my opponent, and this is the best card, because this does not hurt your deck whatsoever. Zombie World is free in here, and I'm thinking about probably playing 2 Zombie Worlds and probably upping the Banshee, because this is just too good. I played this against Heroes, which didn't stop them too much, but it did hinder them enough to stop them from out resourcing me. So I feel like it was pretty decent. I lost the game, but still, I end up learning that the Zombie World has a lot of interactions with other people's cards. Twin Twister, Droplets on the side. Only got 2 Droplets, it would be 3. The Zombie World that goes with the Banshee. Harpy's Feather Duster for Balk Roll. And Summon Limits. And then we got There Can Only Be One. So for going first, I could just help end my opponent's turn with whatever board I set up with a Floodgate. So they either gonna be playing Dark Ruler or Lightning Storm. So if they playing either or, they gonna either have to worry about my board or they have to worry about my Floodgates. So I feel like these Floodgates is really good, and Virtual World plays under these very well. I played under this one yesterday, and Summon Limit is not really too bad in Virtual World. You can probably get at least one of your Virtual World monsters off and then bring back Shan Shan. So you can still have Chuchi too and just break your opponent board every turn. And then they can't really make a board because Summon Limit. So whatever board they do make, you just break it and then just continue putting damage on it until you win the game, until you seal it. There Can Only Be One, the same thing. You put There Could Be One there. They're only gonna have one monster, but they're only playing one type deck, like Dragon Link. So you could just flip this and then you always go make Shan Shan first. So keep that in mind. And you make Shan Shan first, then you flip this and you keep bringing back Shan Shan. Bow, right there. you have it. And then on top of that, with the Derek on the B1, you have level 3 hand traps, and you have level 3 monsters that's different types. So you still can make breaks for it to help out your Derek on B1 or out another card, which is really good. So yeah, that's it for the profile. I think this is a real solid list, to be honest. But let me know about the list in the comments. Give me the feedback. I need the feedback. That's what I thrive off of, the feedback. And that's what makes the decks better and help us get better as content creators. But deuces, stay safe, stay blessed.